Hey there, this is your girl Candace Stuff coming at you all the way live from sunny South Florida. And in week 4 of the challenge, I made some very interesting things. I reached deep into my cupboard, well, really deep into that bottom drawer of the freezer and pulled out some kielbasa. And I had some shrimp on the door, if you recall. So I went ahead and made a Cajun dish. And it was like a keto or low carb jambalaya. But don't tell anybody. I actually ended up having that over rice because I wanted some rice to go with my jambalaya. You know what I mean? And so it was more like a dish of shrimp and sausage over, a Cajun dish over rice. I ended up using too much of the tomato sauce, so it was a little saucy. If it was less saucy, I probably would have just eaten it with the veggies and with the cauliflower rice or whatever. But because it was very saucy, I decided to have it over a little bit of rice, half a cup, never killed anybody. So per serving. I also did use those beans that were in like the soup mix or whatever. I had some in the fridge and some in the cabinet. So I actually used the ones that were in the fridge and I made a ham and bean soup, and that was very tasty as well. So you'll see me make that. And I made another pedestrian lunch because, well, not so pedestrian actually. It was a pretty good sandwich. But, sometimes the lunch just needs to be lunch. So what can I tell you? So without further ado, let's get cooking. All right, y'all, I have a confession to make. I have been enjoying the heck out of some very simple sandwiches. So I have this Kirkland extra lean uncured ham that I've been eating, and it's about 5 grams of protein per slice, and it's only 25 calories per slice. It's very lean. So I've been enjoying like 2 slices of this ham, which is only 10 grams of protein, about 50 calories, along with this bread, which is fantastic. Forgot what you call it. Ciabatta bread. It's high in calories, 240 calories, but each of these rolls has 8 grams of protein. So that would give me 18. And then I've been enjoying it with some brie cheese. And I had this wheel of President triple cream brie, which is 110 calories per serving, which is 1 ounce. And that'll give you 4 grams. I think I've been eating like 2 ounces of this cheese. So this is a pretty high calorie lunch, but I've been getting, close to like 28 grams. Let me stop lying. 26 grams of protein with this lunch. And then I've been pairing it with some protein chips. And these have like 18 grams of protein. Let me stop lying. 20 grams of protein per bag for 140 calories. So it's a pretty calorific lunch, but I haven't been eating big fancy breakfast. I've just been eating like my, my breakfast burritos made with tofu. So this is what I've been having for lunch and with a little bit of tomato. I've been a happy child. All right. So now we're making a dish that's a little bit Cajun dish. And in this pot over here, I'm actually drying out some cauliflower rice that I made with a whole cauliflower. I broke up the florets, I put them in the food processor, and I turned it into cauliflower rice. And on the other burner, I've taken some of these kielbasa sausages that I had in the freezer. I took one of the kielbasa sausage packages, and I'm actually going to just brown it off here. I started out with some onions and some garlic in this pot. So I basically have like a cup of onions and 2 cloves of garlic. I browned the onions, and now I'm browning the sausage. And this sausage is pretty much cooked. So I'm basically just browning off the sausage here, which isn't going to take that long. And the next step in this series, after I finish browning off the sausage, is to add the bell pepper, the celery, and the cherry tomatoes. And then I'm going to add tomato sauce and the seasonings we have. So I'll be right back after this brown. Sausage is brown. And now it's time to add the vegetables. And these are tomatoes, celery, and a bell pepper. Now, normally when you cook this type of food, you would have a green bell pepper, but I didn't have a green bell pepper, so I used an orange one. And what I'm doing is using it to stir it around to get all the yum yums, which are admittedly a little dark on the bottom of this pot, to get up all that. But let me tell you, it smells really good in there. All right, so we got the celery and the bell pepper and the tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes in here. All right. And we have stirred it as per the instructions. So now we're going to add in the tomato sauce and the seasonings. So I'm going to add the seasonings first. And the seasonings that we have here include a tablespoon of oregano, a tablespoon of thyme, a tablespoon of smoked paprika, and I only put a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, even though the recipe calls for a whole tablespoon of cayenne pepper. And because I had turned this off for a little bit just to make sure things didn't burn like crazy, I'm turning it back on. And you can see here, this is a heavily seasoned Cajun dish. All right. Now, this is actually a low-carb jambalaya type dish. It's a low-carb jambalaya recipe. And now that we have that in here, we're supposed to cook this down with the tomato sauce for 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm going to add the tomato sauce. Get that up in here. And I'm going to cook this on low so that the flavors meld for 5 to 7 minutes. Doesn't that look amazing, y'all? And I'll bring you back. Okay, our time is at an end, so I'm supposed to add in raw shrimp and the cauliflower rice. So I'm taking the cauliflower rice that we were drying out in the other pot. I'm adding that in. I'm sort of mixing it from the bottom so that the raw shrimp will cook, as well the cauliflower rice. As I make a complete mess of myself. Oh my God. Really? All right, so I'm supposed to let this cook for 3 to 5 minutes. All right, so our time is up. I'm supposed to put in 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. So there's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. All right. And then I'm also supposed to put in 2 bay leaves. And a 1.5 cups. This is the remaining broth that we had of broth. I'm going to mix this in here. So everything is mixed well. All right, so this is going to cook down for... Oh, we need salt and pepper and stir it up. Okay, we're going to reduce the heat. We're going to cover it, and we're going to cook it for 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to put some of this Goya adobo in here, which y'all know I like to use this. Because right now I don't have any salt or any pepper in here, so that'll do it. Give it some flavor. Then I'm going to cover it up and we'll let it simmer for 20 minutes. Put the timer on. And I'll bring you back when it's done. All right, this is what it looks like. You can see here it's thickened up quite a bit. And the sauce has kind of gotten into the cauliflower rice. So it says I'm supposed to check the seasonings and then turn it off and let it thicken. So let me check the seasonings real quick. Now this is hot tomato sauce, y'all. So let me see. Actually, let me do it this way. With a tasting spoon. All right. I'm gonna taste it now. It's a little spicy, even though I only put in like half a teaspoon of the cayenne pepper, but the seasonings are dead on. Like I couldn't have done this better if I had planned it. The seasonings are perfect. All right, so I'm gonna let this cool off and I'm gonna make myself some dinner because din is done. So this is my low carb Cajun jambalaya, and you all should give it a try. Now this recipe is supposed to have chicken in it. I didn't want to put chicken in it. I just did the sausage and the shrimp. I figured that was enough meat. And here we go. I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit. I'm gonna dish it up. Okay. All right, so we're now making a ham and bean soup. And I'm gonna be using some broccoli that I had chopped up and put in the freezer because it was on the edge. The recipe calls for 4 stalks of broccoli. I'm thinking that's enough. Hopefully it's not too much. It also calls for 4 carrots and a large onion. That's what we have here. Now, we're supposed to cook these down until they soften up. Let me tell you, the weather in Florida has gone down again. And now in the evenings, it's like 50 degrees or, you know, sometimes 48 or so, which to us is cold. I know in other parts of the country, they're like laughing at us. They're like, that's summertime. But not in Florida, right? So I like having soups when the weather is cold. And that's why I'm making soups a lot during the season. Okay, so I'm going to cook this down until the vegetables start to soften up. And then I'm going to come back and add the remainder of the ingredients. One of the things I love about cooking soups is that a lot of it is like dump and go, right? You put the stuff in there, you mix it around, and then you let it simmer for X amount of time. So I'm kind of excited about this, and I'm excited to eat this later on. All right, we'll come back. All right, so now that the vegetables have softened, it's time for us to put in the remainder of the ingredients. And the first ingredient is the ham. And I actually got this Smith Anytime ham steak from Publix. They had a buy one, get one free sale. Because I don't normally buy ham steaks, but I figured what the heck. And since I had the beans, I figured I would make good use of it. So we have that. That's been in my freezer for a while. And I also had bought this diced ham, also made by Smithfield. Next, I soaked 2 cups of a bean mix, believe it or not, for like 8 hours. And it became 4 cups. That's how much beans soak up, and swell up when you soak them. And this bean mix has a whole bunch of different beans in it. Everything from lentils to like, I don't even know, to like lima beans to other types of beans. So it's like a 15 bean soup mix. And so we're putting that in here as well. Just trying to get them all out. And we also need to put in here a can of petite diced tomatoes. So we have there 2 bay leaves, those smell good. Let me just mix this up so far. And after this, we're going to put in 8 cups of stock. Now, I went a little ham on the ham. I was only supposed to use like 1 pound. And I put in, I guess it's 1.5 pounds or so. But I did trim some fat off the ham steak. So, that's where we are with that. And now, I'm going to put in the stock. And I'm using some unsalted chicken stock by Swanson. And as you probably already know, each of these containers has like 4 cups in it. I'm also going to put in some chicken bone broth. All right, gonna mix it around a little bit. Make sure it's all up in there. And then I'm going to put this bad boy on, bring it up to a boil, and simmer it for like 2 hours. And so I'll bring you back then. All right, so it's 2 hours later, and I did a quick taste test to see if it needed anything else. And I ended up putting some Goya adobo in here because I hadn't put any salt. And I was supposed to put like a 1/2 teaspoon of salt in here, but I figured the ham would be salty enough. Turns out it needed a little bit more, so I did. And then I put in a little bit more of the roasted garlic. So now we're gonna dish up this bad boy into a bowl. 2 cups is supposed to be a serving. And we're going to give it another taste test. Give it another taste test and see what we can see. It's really good. It's a thick and chunky soup in the sense that there are lots of meat and vegetables and beans in here. It's not thick in terms of the consistency, so that's pretty cool. And I'm going to have this with some bread and be a happy child. And it's a big pot. It makes like 6 servings, supposedly, of 2 cups each. I think this is probably more than 6 servings. I'll probably end up freezing some of the soup, putting some of it in the refrigerator to eat, to eat on over the next few days. Considering how cold it is in my apartment right now, I'm very happy to have this soup for dinner. All right. And there you have it. So I was really happy to have the soup handy, for those cool days that we had, last week or whatever. And I really enjoyed the kick and the spice that was in the jambalaya. It was actually spicier than I thought it was going to be, even though I only used a small amount of the cayenne pepper. That stuff gets really, a little goes a long way. And having the ciabatta bread to make sandwiches was actually a really good thing because, I was working this week and I was on camera a lot, doing Zoom meetings or whatever, and sessions or whatever, arbitration sessions, mediation sessions. And so it made for a quick lunch, during those breaks and, a quick and simple lunch. So that was helpful too. So let me know which of these recipes that you like the best. Which ones are you going to cook when it's your turn? If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe. I'd love to have you see all of my videos. And, let me know what you're going to cook this week in the challenge or just in general. All right. Take care. And I'll see you in the next video.